All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How to Do Drugs. I am your host, Aaliyah Janine. And today I have the wonderful and talented and beautiful Miss Sara Jay.
Thank you. Thank you.
How have you been, girl?
I'm so good. Life is great. It
Yeah.
really is. Yeah.
Are you still you live out in Cali, right? Or did you
N-
move to Florida for some reason?
I've never lived in Cali, believe it or not. I'm actually here right now shooting, but
Okay.
I live in Miami. I've been there for 15 years.
Nice. Yeah, that's why I was like, wait, I don't think she's ever because we knew each
Mm-mm.
other back when I performed. We hung out at one of the Exoticas in Chicago. That's when we hung out. I think that's the first and only time we ever hung out. But that happens in that industry a lot. So how is porn these days?
I think everybody has like their own experiences right now,
Mhm.
so much of what a performer does now is like on their own,
Mhm.
I've been doing this for it's like 21 years now.
Mhm.
And when I started, I was one of the first people with my own website. So I was shooting content and directing and producing like very early.
Mhm.
And now I feel like everybody is doing that same thing, which is kind of cool. It's like, yeah, this is what you should be doing.
Yeah, yeah, because that way you own your own content. You don't have to worry about it being bought over and over again by different, distribution companies and stuff like that. You actually get to make more money from the scenes that you produce by yourself, which is great. Do you have like an OnlyFans too, or do you just stick with your website?
Oh no, I got all the things. I got all the things.
Yeah.
You name it, I got it.
I mean,
No,
it's very
you figure you shoot one scene, you want to get the most out of it. So try to put it on all the platforms in one way or another.
Yeah, yeah, because some people, they may not be a member of your website but they are on OnlyFans, and so it's like
Hmm.
whatever, you gotta please the people for sure. It's very similar to a podcast. You have to have it on Apple and Spotify and
Yep.
just spread it around. So you've been around the industry for a long time. You have your own brand of a lot of different things, right? Like your own lube
Hmm.
and your own sex toys and stuff like that, little
Hmm.
marketing genius. But recently you have like a CBD company.
Yep, that's where
Which,
the lube comes into play too.
mhm,
My CBD company, sarajcbd.com.
mhm.
We have bath bombs, we have sex lube, and we have massage oil. The bath bombs called Time Out.
Nice.
The sex lube is called Long Night, and then the massage oil is called Long Day.
Very nice. And they're all CBD products, right? Like they
Yep,
all have
they're all CBD
CBD.
products.
Do you also do anything with just like regular weed? Like, do you have your own line of Sarah J Indica by any chance?
Not at this time, no. I grew weed for 12 years, like back when it was like illegal in most places.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we used to, cross strains and make stuff up back then, but I don't have now that it's like so legit, like I don't have a legit line right at the moment.
Yeah, it's also like really expensive to be able like to have legalized weed. Like it is really expensive. Like here in New York, because I live in New York now. Like they decriminalized it, and there's a couple places popping up because it was funny. The governor he like legalized weed, and then but didn't legalize the sale of weed. And I'm like, oh, I love that for us. That makes so much sense. He kept like every time he kept getting accused by another woman of sexual harassment or assault, like we would get something. Like we were like, oh, bars can stay open till 4 now. It's like,
Yeah,
thanks. who
that's
else did
hilarious.
who else did you harass? We need to actually be able to buy places, places to buy this stuff, you fucking retard.
Yeah, right.
It was very funny. Yeah, some of the bodegas are definitely starting to sell more, but like the licensing and it's like over $1 million just to be able to sell it. It's like it's almost better to just, do it illegally, to be honest.
Sure. I've got some friends that work in the gray zone. There and it's
Yeah.
the gray zone is like really like prominent in like DC and New York because the laws are very ambiguous,
Yeah.
like you said, you can have weed, but you can't sell. You can have weed and you can buy weed, but you can't sell weed.
Yeah, but you can sell it, which is like it's so contradictory. It's very confusing, especially to like I'm sure to new stoners, that like people like me, I'm like, I still go to like my regular dealers. Like I'm not, I had a license, I had a medical license in California too, but I'm like, I still go to my dudes. They still
Yeah,
have
I had
the
a license when I lived in Oregon that was
mhm,
for the tri-state, Cali, Oregon, and Washington.
nice.
But then when I moved to Florida, obviously that didn't apply. But just recently, I got my medical card for Florida just to have it on hand. I've had it for about 4 months, and I
Mhm.
have not made it to a dispensary yet. If that tells you where I'm getting my weed too.
Right. I mean, having the license is like a safe thing. I didn't know that Florida like decriminalized it. It's just for medical use, or do
Just for
they?
medical, yeah. You have
Oh, okay.
to like there's like a couple little like loopholes you gotta jump through and stuff, like they have doctors they recommend to you and then you need to go for an interview and fill out some paperwork and then they send you your card in the mail.
Yeah, so it's fairly simple. I remember when I went to go get my card in California, the doctor there, she also did my Botox. I was like, you get your weed and your Botox all at the
Perfect.
same time. Gotta love California.
Mhm.
That because I know Florida laws, like because I lived in Florida for a little while. I lived in like the Tampa area, St. Pete, and then Clearwater. Well, technically Dunedin. Um, and their laws, because I remember when I moved down there, my uncle was like, because I'm from Wisconsin, and he had told me, he's like, so you cannot drink and drive in the state like at all. He's like, not even a little bit. He's because in Wisconsin, it's like a slap on the wrist. And
Oh.
it's just, I mean, it's like maybe $1,500 and like you don't get your license taken
Oh,
away.
wow.
Like they may have changed it, but yeah, because they're like Wisconsin, that's what they do. They just drink and drive.
Here.
That's what he told me.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you can't do that. And so I'm wondering, like, what are the laws about having like weed in Florida right now?
I live in Miami, which I
Mhm.
really don't consider Florida
Yeah.
because, like, everything about Miami runs on its own,
Yeah.
separate from the rest of Florida. The rest of Florida is pretty strict about like everything, and
Mhm.
also depends on like who you piss off, so
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. But in Florida or in Miami specific, and maybe this is why I live there,
Mhm.
my feelings, and I'm sure my experiences are not everybody's experiences,
Mhm.
but the cops in Miami specifically, they're kind of lazy.
Yeah.
And they like they got bigger fish to fry, like on some common sense kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like they don't really want to bust you for weed. Like
Mhm.
if you smoked weed in front of a cop in Miami, they would probably tell you to put it out,
Yeah.
and that is
That
all.
because they got
Yeah.
better things to do than worry
Yeah,
about
so
some
they don't
weed.
wanna do the paperwork on that. Like, um, when I first moved to Miami, uh, they were letting you smoke indoors at nightclubs, at almost all the nightclubs, like, and
Mhm.
that was not even a problem. Like, you walk into any nightclub and it just was
Yeah.
like, just reeked of weed. And a lot of those businesses have since like pulled back from that and kind of like reinforced the no smoking weed in there,
Mhm.
but you can definitely vape. And yeah, if you're outside, it's totally not a problem. If the club or the bar has an outside area, not an issue at all. Like
Yeah,
there's never cops busting plate people. Like it's never an issue.
that's because if I remember correctly, like Florida doesn't have the law where like you can't smoke indoors, right? Like you can still smoke in Florida in places, right?
I'm not totally sure on that either. Like that wouldn't
Yeah.
really happen in Miami except for
Yeah.
weed. But
Yeah.
yeah, the rest of Florida, who knows? Like
Because
it's
I
country
remember
bumpkins up
it.
there.
Yeah, because when I moved and I was actually kind of excited because I know like a lot of the bars, as long as like they made more money off of liquor than they did food, people were allowed to smoke in those places. Like I think
Yeah.
maybe some restaurants or something like that. Because I'm a smoker, like I smoke everything, except for crack. Um, Crack is
Crack is whack.
and I thought that was great because especially in Wisconsin, because it gets like -30 below and like beer and cigarettes, they just go hand in hand together. And now a lot of times it's like wine and a blunt.
I love wine in a blunt. Wow. Yeah.
Right? And a nice bubble bath or something. It would be amazing. I kind of wonder because they have
I
here in
like
New York.
wine, a blunt, and pizza.
Ooh, that's actually what I may do later this evening.
Yeah, doesn't that sound amazing? I'm like, oh, how can I fit that into my day?
Just chill out. Um, Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna ask you, but we'll get back to it. So your CBD thing, what made you like start that line, and where do you get your CBD like stuff from?
So, I've always been involved in the cannabis community in general. And like over the years, I started smoking weed when I was 12. And my habits have like waxed and waned, especially as I get like a little older.
Yeah.
And I'm like really busy. And sometimes I don't always have the time or the availability to get stoned. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I don't want to be high, but like
Yeah.
I'm tired or my back hurts or I have a headache. But it's not really the best moment to be like stoned right at the moment. So
Yeah.
when they were able to start doing, that's one of the great things about the legalities is like then they can start doing research and start breaking apart these chemical compounds, figuring out what each one of them is good for. And
Mm-hmm.
then we can use drugs more responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
So when they started with, all these CBD products, I started using the CBD topicals and CBD
Mm-hmm.
gummies like right away. And I work out a lot and I'm always sore, like there's always
Yeah.
something that hurts. It's like my
Mm-hmm.
knees, it's my back, it's my hip, it's
Yeah.
always
I
something,
loved arnica gel for that kind of stuff too. Arnica gel would always
Yeah. I
work.
use that for bruising, but it doesn't really
Yeah.
help my pain that much.
Yeah.
So I went with the CBD cream and stuff, and that was awesome. And then I started eating CBD gummies for sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom started eating CBD gummies for sleep, which is weird because my mom does not do drugs, like any kind
Yeah.
of drugs. And my dad started, taking it too. And then my friend started giving it to her mom and her dog. And I was like, wow, this is actually kind of amazing that we can all take this one chemical compound and get like a lot of relief from it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
legal. And I wanted to be a part of that. So I went to a couple of CBD expos and
Mm-hmm.
networked and met some people and linked up with a company that has a lot of like beauty and toiletry type products. And yeah, we worked on how I wanted my products to stand out. And most of it is that I just erase the CBD and everything.
Yeah.
Because,
Just a little
like,
bit.
especially for like stoners, like a lot of stoners don't get relief from CBD, but that's because they're not using enough milligrams.
Yeah, because I'm
Like
like
those
I
little
tried
gummies
CBD
that I
stuff.
get, and I don't sell the gummies, but I
Hmm.
love them. Like I get like
Yeah.
the gummy bears.
Hmm.
They're about 35 milligrams a piece of CBD.
Hmm.
Well, it recommends on there to take like 1 to 3 or something. I take 5 to 8.
Yeah, because your
But
tolerance is higher.
yeah, I've been smoking weed since I was 12, so of course my tolerance is going to be higher. And I think that a lot of times people don't use the right milligrams for them. So my bath bombs have 100 milligrams of CBD in them,
Hmm.
and like I think my bath bombs are probably um, one of the best products I have because they're least expensive. They
Hmm.
have a huge dosage of CBD that you get like all at one time,
Hmm.
whereas like the massage oil is like 400 milligrams and the sex lube is 400 milligrams, but that's for the whole bottle.
Yeah.
So like the bath bomb, you get 100 milligrams for a bath. You're gonna like melt into the bed afterwards,
Right.
right? Yeah, so it's super relaxing and yeah, I feel like it's great products and I want to support the cannabis community and I want to support the research and
Yeah.
I just want to be a part of the conversation in general because I think it's amazing.
Yeah. I've tried CBD a couple of different times and then a little light went off. It's like, "Oh yeah, I probably wasn't taking enough." Cuz I smoke, when you smoke every day cuz I've been smoking, about like 14, 15, and I tried CBD stuff, to help me go to sleep and like it never really worked and I'm like, "Oh, I guess I just need the THC too." But that makes sense now that you said that.
Yeah, I even tried like some when I first started messing with it. I tried like some
Mhm.
of those tinctures and like the droppers and stuff.
Mhm.
And to get the amount of CBD that I need in order to take effect, I was taking like 8 drops of things,
Right.
like drop, 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 drop,
Just
drop,
like
drop,
drink the
drop.
whole thing.
Yeah, basically. But I feel like if you experiment with milligrams and like what's good for you, you can get a lot of relief.
Yeah. Do you think is there can you take too much CBD? Do you
No,
think?
you just fall
No.
asleep.
You just fall asleep?
Yeah. You know, literally, like, if you take too much CBD, you're just gonna, like, drool on yourself and fall asleep.
And pass out without any of the after effects of, like, alcohol
Yep.
or
Although
something
I
like.
have really intense dreams sometimes on CBD, like, very vivid.
Really? It's because I
Yeah,
would
my mom
think.
does too, so I know it's a thing. Like, the moment we both started taking it, yeah,
Mhm.
like, both of us have these, like, very vivid, like, very realistic dreams.
See, because I started like, I definitely still, smoke at least a bowl before I go to bed just so I don't have dreams because I
Yep.
have insane, very vivid dreams. So CBD actually intensifies it? Oh,
It does for me.
no.
Maybe it would do the
Yeah.
opposite for you since you already have a lot of drinks, but
Yeah.
I used to smoke weed and kind of enjoy the fact that I didn't dream, you know? So it
Yeah.
was kind of like hard for me to get, I don't want to say hard, but like interesting for me to get used to. I'm like, oh wow, like there's like a whole nother reality that I'm experiencing in my sleep now. Like my
Mhm.
dreams are so real that like sometimes I go back to sleep to keep living that life.
Right, right, just to see what's happening. Are you able to,
Yeah.
like, control your dreams at all? Because like, when I dream, I'm like a director, and so if, like, I don't like something, I'd be like, "No," and then, like, kinda change a little bit. Are you able to do that?
It's super interesting. So like the CBD thing kind of got me like on this binge of like learning how to lucid dream where you can control things, right?
Mhm.
And so one of the things that I do in my dream, if I'm like not fully sure it's a dream, I have to like be aware of it first is I look at my phone. And for
Okay.
some reason, my phone doesn't work in my dreams.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
like it'll be like swirly. I'll look at my phone and all the apps will be shaking and jiggling around and moving and I can't text
Like, you can't
nothing.
read words, like, I
I
can't
can't read the
read.
words and like
Yeah.
I can't make it work right. And I'm always frustrated. I'm like, aha, I'm in a dream. So now
Yeah.
that I know that I'm in a dream, I put my phone in my pocket and then I just start doing
Yeah, it'd be like, "What's gonna happen in this one?" Okay, that's cool. I just wanna make sure I
stuff.
wasn't the only person that did that. Oh, and I remember, because in New York, we have cigar bars, right? Where people could go and, like, you actually smoke cigarettes in there too. And we have a couple, like, speakeasy, like, weed places, like,
Mhm.
underground that people can smoke. Do you think that those places are gonna become more popular, with the legalization of weed, where instead of a cigar shop, it'd just be like a blunt shop where you could go in and, like, maybe get a drink and smoke a blunt?
I would love that. Like,
Kinda
I
like
don't know if it's going
Amsterdam,
to
I
work or
guess.
not, but that sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Right?
I don't think it's going to be in the same place as the tobacco place though. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I live in Miami, obviously, we already established that. And like, we do have a few of those like smoking, like cigar shops but like they have like little like lounge area
Yeah,
also.
yeah, yeah.
And a lot of those are very heavily Cuban because like the Cuban cigars and stuff. But people
Mhm.
that are in there, they want tobacco. They probably don't want you smoking weed in there, you know? So
Yeah,
I would think that that would be like a separate business.
yeah. Well, yeah, they definitely I've noticed that too. Cigar people are kinda snobs when it comes with their cigars, and they don't want the smell of marijuana smoke because it
Yeah.
messes up the smell of their cigar smoke and
Yeah,
vice
yeah, and these
versa.
are we're
Yeah.
talking like old Cuban men, so,
Yeah.
you know, they're stuck in their ways, yeah.
That is amazing. So you said you started smoking weed at 12. Have you ever dabbled with any other drugs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, of course.
I
I
love
mean,
it.
not today.
Not today. Today I am sober, but other days. Well,
Yeah.
what's one of your favorite drugs to do besides weed, obviously?
Molly. I love
Yeah.
Molly.
Oh,
Love
well,
Molly.
Florida, Miami, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, Molly's great. And like with me and drugs, like let me just preface this before we continue this
Yeah.
conversation. I enjoy drugs and I enjoy drug education.
Mhm.
And I study, I do watch documentaries, I listen to podcasts, I read. Like I want to know about the drugs that I'm doing before I do them, every aspect about them. So I just don't
Mhm.
go into things like willy-nilly. I test all my drugs. I have like a
Yes.
drug tester. So whenever
Yes.
I get something new, I test it to make sure it is what it says it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
And
That's
now,
really
if by the
smart.
way, if drugs were legal, we wouldn't have to go through all that bullshit
Yeah.
of
Which
worrying that we're getting fentanyl or something, you know?
Yeah, something that could kill us or higher dosages
Yeah.
of something. I made a lot of my dealers buy the testing kits after a couple of comics in LA died from
Fentanyl.
Yeah, yeah, it was in their cocaine. It's literally like, why are you like, you're killing off your clientele. It doesn't make any sense. That's literally two complete opposite drugs of the spectrum. It's
You
so
know, it
annoying.
actually doesn't make any sense to the point where I think that there's something else there that we're not fully aware of going on. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. I am a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. I don't even have a theory on this, but I do feel like drug dealers are not stupid enough to kill off all of their customers, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, like, I understand that fentanyl is really cheap, and that's what they keep on saying, that they're cutting it with fentanyl because fentanyl is really cheap. But so is baby laxative. So is
Yeah.
caffeine.
So is
So is
vitamin
amphetamine.
B. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's something else going on. I don't know, but like this whole fentanyl thing is very strange to me. And part of the reason why it ends up killing people is because fentanyl does not mix evenly with other drugs. They call
Yeah.
it the chocolate chip effect. So
Okay.
if you mix fentanyl in with your Coke or whatever powdery substance you have,
Mhm.
um, it clumps together.
Oh.
Yeah. So when you do a fentanyl test,
Mhm.
they suggest that you test several different parts of your drugs, not just like one part.
Mhm.
Like, take some from the left corner of the bag and the right corner of the
Yeah,
bag
yeah,
and from the
yeah.
middle or whatever. Because fentanyl will like clump up together. And so you might have a test and it's not showing up on one thing, and then you test again and it shows up on the other.
Oh, that is very good to know because I also have test strips in case for that.
They suggest that if you can afford to do it, to dissolve your drugs in water and then test the water.
Yeah, that I could see that working better for like the chemistry or like the breakdown of stuff. Yeah, like yeah, because don't you need a specific amount to be able to do that though, right? Yeah, you have to have a lot of money
at
and be
least, at
willing to
least,
waste some of your
like,
drugs.
yeah. I mean, ideally, it would be ideal for the drug dealer to do it. Like you said, that's nice that you suggested to your drug dealers to buy those test strips.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm like, you don't
But
want to kill off a bunch of comics, do you? No, you don't want to be that guy. Test your shit. Yeah.
yeah, sure. I always tell all of my friends and anybody I know that does drugs or sells drugs, like,
Mhm.
I've got test strips. I've got like the full set of
Yeah,
test
for all the
every.
acid, Molly. Yep.
Yes, it'll test everything. So I'm like, if anybody needs anything, please do not hesitate. I will test it for you.
Yeah, I really wish because I know in the Netherlands they you could send like some of your drugs to the government and they will test it for you and then send
That's
it
wild.
back and be like, yeah, this is what's in it. And so that way it keeps like drug dealers honest and stuff like
Sure.
that. Because I remember when I used to do like well back in my we called it ecstasy or whatever,
Yeah.
but Molly. Um where we would get like the capsules sometimes and it would either be like a lot of heroin or even sometimes like really speedy and
I was gonna say
like
a lot of times it's meth because meth is like
yeah.
cheap.
Mhm.
Yeah, or bath salts, which I mean, bath salts get like a lot of bad rap, but the problem
Yeah.
is with bath salts is that the dosage is not the same as a Molly dosage.
Yeah.
So if you were to do a bath salt, I don't remember what the exact number is, but it's like 1/10 of the Molly dosage. So if you did bath salts and think it was Molly and you did the same amount, you're gonna have a really bad experience.
What are because the only time I remember hearing about bath salts it was in Florida and
And that was
wasn't
a lie.
oh okay then set it straight what happened in Florida with the bath
Yes.
salts.
So, okay, I know what you're about to say. You're about to talk about the guy who was the zombie guy, the homeless guy
Yeah,
who like ripped somebody's face off, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's when bath salts were just starting to be talked about and stuff.
Mhm.
And what happened was a cop and a reporter walked up on the scene at the same time. The cop was like, "Oh, this looks like it must be that bath salt stuff." And the reporter wrote it down, put out the headline.
Oh, okay, that's how most things happen.
I think that guy was probably that when they did the autopsy, not the autopsy, but when they did drug tested the guy who ripped the face off, he just had weed in his system. I think he was just crazy, like I think he was just like schizo or
Mentally
whatever.
ill, yeah. Because I mean, it takes a lot of strength to rip off somebody's fucking face,
Yeah,
and
and not
weed
only
doesn't
that,
do
but
that. Weed has never made me wanna rip off somebody's face.
Yeah.
at all. What
Never, never,
what are
never.
bath salts? So is it like are they kind of like meth or is it like a Molly experience? Have you tried bath salts?
Um,
No. Oh,
I've
I want to try bath
accidentally done bath salts, not intentionally, but yeah, and it's kind of like in between, to be honest with you.
salts. Okay.
Um, it was like I thought it was Molly. It was before I got my test kit. This is actually like
The
I
reason
think I
why
got
you
my
got
test
it.
kit like moments after this, and it was kind of like Molly. You got the happy, lovey feelings and that like empathy and sense of closeness and stuff,
That
but
euphoria.
also crazy amount of speediness. Like
Oh.
I just talked for like 2 days, I think. Not 2 days, but like literally stood there and talked for like hours. It wasn't a drug that I would want to do again, but it
Yeah.
wasn't horrible either.
Okay. So it's
And
kind
then
of
what I
like,
was gonna say, and the
oh,
other thing I was gonna say though is that because I didn't have a test kit before I got my test kits, I used to do very tiny amounts of new batches,
mhm.
just t- test that out,
Mhm.
and it's a good thing I did because I could have had a very bad experience being that it was bath salts instead of Molly. Like
Yeah.
literally, like that
Taste
made
it.
me
Yeah.
high all fucking day. Yeah.
I've always was a taste tester too. I learned to do that after I did a line of heroin and I thought because I thought it was cocaine, it was a fat one. And I was like, whoa, that's a different experience. So
Oh, just like Pulp Fiction.
yeah, 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 very similar. And I did that twice, not once, but twice. So
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm fun at parties, is what I'm trying to say. So that is
Right.
when I learned to do the tasting.
Believe it or not, cocaine is one of the only like common drugs that I have not done.
And you live in fucking
I
Miami? That's
know. I
insane.
know.
Well, that's so funny.
I know, and it's such a common drug, like
Mhm.
everywhere. Everybody's done it like once.
Yeah.
But for me, I guess I saw like the bad side of Coke before I saw the good side. And I was like, maybe I'll just stay away from that. And then like
Yeah.
as I've gotten older, I've seen people who could handle their Coke, like kind of few and far between, honestly. But
Yeah.
I've seen people who can handle their Coke, and I've thought about trying it, like, but it it just doesn't seem like it's a habit that I even want to like play with,
Yeah, yeah, especially if you do have an addictive personality, as someone who loves cocaine, I
Yeah.
don't recommend it. I
Yes.
don't. Like some people I'd be like, "I think you could like if you want to do it." Other people I'm like, "If you already like a lot of my friends who have like undiagnosed ADHD, I'm like, cocaine may actually be good for you.
Yeah, it'll
Like,
balance them out. That's what I hear,
maybe
right?
balance them out a little bit. But I go through phases where it's like I wanna do it all the time, and now, especially over quarantine, I did an obnoxious all drugs. I did all of the drugs, so many drugs, super fun, uh,
Yeah,
super great.
like that's the other thing is like I don't want something that can cause a habit. Like I try to stay away
Yeah,
from habit forming drugs. Like,
and that is definitely
weed
a
is the
habit
only
forming
habit
drug.
that I really want.
Yeah.
And even with that, I try to like wax and wane and like think, am I just rolling up right now because this is what I do right now, or am I doing it because I actually want to get high? I try to be mindful of all of my drug usage.
Yeah, I've learned that especially with weed and all drugs too. And I think it is because like I'm older and stuff like that. I've noticed over the past, especially like the past month or two, I used to be like a wake and bake girl, and now it's like, okay, let me go to the gym and get all this stuff done,
Yes.
and then I'm like, okay, now I'll smoke, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
like 4 p.m. All of a sudden you're like, yeah, maybe I'll smoke now.
yeah, and like not even like think about because when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, I need to get high. I haven't gotten high today yet. I can't function. I'm like, is this because I'm not depressed anymore, or
You know what? Yes.
yes,
I yes, the answer is like cuz you're not depressed, you don't
hmm
have the anxiety you used to have. You're also older and you've got more on your plate to do. Like
hmm
I went through the same thing the past like 3 years, like
hmm
I just didn't, and I didn't want the habit anymore. Like I didn't want
yeah.
weed being like a dictator in my life.
Yeah, it'd be like it's like smoking a cigarette. It's like after I do this, I smoke a
Yeah.
joint. It's like very yeah.
No, I'm not doing that anymore. Like super mindful of all of my drug intake. I think that that's one of the important things about being a drug user is
Mhm.
that you're very mindful and you don't do things out of habit. When you do things out of habit, that creates addiction.
Yeah.
And I do not want to be addicted to anything and I don't want to have any habits. but I
Mhm.
should be able to control myself enough to be a little dabbly here and a little dabble there and a little thing there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, have fun with it, not, people on the podcast have heard this before, but my mom had always said, "You could do drugs, just don't let the drugs do you."
Yeah, sure.
Which is honestly, like, the best advice I ever got from one drug addict to
Yep.
another,
No,
and
it's true. It's true.
every once in a while, like, especially with cocaine, I'm like, "Oh, cocaine is doing me now," because now I'm like, "It's Tuesday, I wanna go buy a bag because I'm at a bar," and I'm like, "No." I'm like, "It's fucking Tuesday. I have shit to do." So, yeah, I also think, like, being
You want to talk about
older.
gateway drugs,
Yeah.
alcohol, geez, right?
Oh, yeah. Do you drink a lot?
I do. Like, I drink frequently, but not a lot at one time. So,
Okay.
like, I would say 5 or 6 days a week, I probably have a drink,
Mhm.
but like, usually like 1 to 3 drinks. Like, I like to catch a little buzz, but yeah, I don't get wasted
Get wasted
usually.
anymore. Like, I'm the opposite, like, because 'cause I'm a binge drinker in Wisconsin, like, that's just how we were raised,
Okay.
just fucking just get as drunk as you can because the bars all close at, like, 2 AM, so we gotta get in and you gotta
Yeah.
get drunk. And now, definitely now, I have learned that like, right after quarantine, like, when I started, like, working again a little bit more, I was getting as hammered as I was when I was in quarantine, and I'm like, "I can't be this wasted while I'm at work technically." I mean, granted, I
Yeah.
work in a bar and stuff, and so now I'm finally back to where I can have 1 or 2 beers and be fine, but
Yeah.
I noticed, I can only have 1 or 2, and then, like, I'm done otherwise, because I get wasted off of, like, 3 drinks now. I mean, it's
Yeah.
super.
3 drinks is good though. Like, I think 3 drinks
Yeah,
is like,
yeah,
when
it's
I
like the
start
perfect
having to drink
amount.
more than 3 drinks, I'm like, oh, we need to calm down for a week or two, Because I
Mhm.
think I like 3 drinks. Like, 3 drinks
Yeah.
makes me feel like not an addict and
Yeah.
also makes me feel like not a lush.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the perfect amount. Working in bars, it's definitely, it's harder to not drink. I have owners, and people wanting to buy me shots, and you feel bad. It's like almost like you're being peer pressured as an adult to drink. But a lot of times, like, thankfully, some of my friends, I'm like, "I can't drink today," and they're like, "Okay."
When I used to be a stripper, like a house stripper, I would have the
Yeah.
bartender give me not liquor. Like, I'd tell the
Oh,
bartender to like
yeah.
make all my drinks like virgin before my shift started.
Oh, see, that's smart. I used to just drink the alcohol and then go throw it up and then drink more. Cause, like, at some clubs, like, I used to get paid, like, we used to get paid for, like, selling drinks and stuff like that, and
Right, we did too. That's why I would do it. Yeah.
yeah, and I had one dude that would pay me, like, $100 a shot, $50 a beer, and in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
I would walk out
I'm
with,
doing
like.
shots of water.
Yeah, oh, no, I was doing shots of tequila, I would do, like, 3 shots in a row, run to the bathroom, throw them all up, come
Yeah.
back. I mean, that's not good for your body, it's not good for.
Yeah.
I was like
I
like,
always
I was
worry about
bulimic
getting
with
like
alcohol.
robbed at the strip club or something.
Oh, yeah, getting 2 ways. I had money
Losing your
stolen from me.
purse, your money fall
Yep.
out, you forget to get the money from the guy. I'm like, I can't do this.
Yep, I've done that a couple of times. Absolutely. Just wasted. There was one weekend, we had a shrooming Thanksgiving weekend, at the strip club, so me and, like, 3 of the dancers just took a bunch of mushrooms because strip clubs are fun, they have, like, all the black lights and
Yeah.
everything like that, and we just sat there not working, basically, just hung out in a strip club tripping our balls off. It
You just
was.
gave me an idea. The next mushroom trip I do, I might go to the strip club.
Dude, mushrooms and strip clubs are so fun. 10/10, highly recommended.
I think you might be right. I've done acid in strip clubs before, and that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, see, I like both acid and mushrooms. Do you have a preference over acid or mushrooms, or do you like them both the same?
I like them both, but I
Mhm.
like acid better.
Same, kind of. Is it because, like, one, I hate the taste of mushrooms. They're disgusting. I do feel that especially if you've never, like, done mushrooms, like, you have to like, that's part of the initiation, like, you have to eat them. Like, my one girlfriend, she's never done them before. I'm like, "We're gonna give you these capsules first because it's a microdose, but once you get used to that, you are gonna have to eat them."
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. For me, I always say that I feel like a mushroom trip needs to be steered. Like,
Mhm,
like when I'm on like mushrooms intensify whatever your emotion you're feeling. So like you need to make sure your emotions are like positive. So
mhm.
like I feel like in my head, you know, everything's good. I eat the mushrooms, everything's good. And then I might just have like one little negative thought come in. I'm like, oh, go away, negative thought. I'm in the happy land right now. You know, because if you let that negative thought come in and fester, it could go into like a spiraling down, you know?
Kinda,
So
yeah.
I feel like during my, and it's not that it's that hard, but during my mushroom trip, I always have to be like super mindful of like being positive and happy and stuff.
You keep away those negative,
Yeah.
negative energies and stuff like that. I get that. I've never, I've dealt with other people's bad trips. I have never had a bad trip.
I've had bad trips.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me
I've
about your
had
worst bad trip.
I've had more bad mushroom trips than I had bad acid trips though.
Yeah.
Like I had one bad acid trip, but I probably had like maybe 3 bad mushroom trips, and they weren't even like bad enough to like not do them again. It's just like, oh, that sucked.
Yeah. Well, was it the actual trip or just like the situation that you were in that kind of made it suck?
I mean, they're kind of one and the same, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like so I remember one particular mushroom trip. I was with somebody that I'd never hung out with, like we only hung out in like group settings. And
Mhm,
so it was our first time like hanging out together. So we didn't really know how to like communicate and relate to each other too much. So
mhm.
that was always already awkward. And then the house that he lived in, I don't want to give too much because it'll just like tell you who it is. But like the house that he lived in had like a really fucking creepy vibe. Like
Okay.
it was like he lived in what used to be like a party house for like celebrities, but like old celebrities back in the day.
Mhm.
And I was like, yo, people have been date raped in here. And I could not get that out of my head.
Oh no.
I was like, oh my God, so many bad things have happened in this house. And I just got really sad and I started crying.
Oh, no, but
Yeah.
yeah, like, if the energy is bad, he needs to, like, sage that shit or
Yo, that
something.
house needed to be like dumped in sage. Yeah.
I've definitely like, I've had, while tripping, like, go into a bar and have bad vibes because 'cause I'm somewhat of an empath or whatever, like, you have energy, and you feel different energies, and you walk in and be like, "Yeah, we shouldn't be here. This isn't gonna
And
be good
also
for
you
us."
can like misinterpret things when you're on drugs too. Like
Mhm.
I was at a bar in Amsterdam, funny you say that, on mushrooms with a friend of mine. And it was just like this horrible, awkward vibe, but we couldn't leave because it was like storming outside.
Oh.
So we go in there and the lady wants to, like the bartender, she wants to like serve us beer. And we're like, no, just water. And she was like, no, you're going to drink beer. And we're like, no, we want water. And it was like this horrible exchange. So she gave us water and beer. And then like we gave the beer to like some other patrons at the other end of the bar.
Mhm.
And then this guy comes over and starts talking to my friend. I think he thought he was gay, right? And he like cuts in between me and they start talking. And it was just like this horrible, weird vibe. The bartender's like angry at us now. This guy thinks my friend is gay and we can't leave. We're stuck here. And I also don't want beer and they keep trying to feed me beer. Yeah, it was just like, ah. But then when we leave and we go home, we finish our trip. It's a glorious trip. The rest of the trip was magnificent.
Mhm.
And then the next day we talk about it. Neither one of us remember the night before the same way. Like he had a totally different vibe about it. He was like, oh, that nice guy that came over and thanked me for the beer. I was like, he was definitely trying to get you to go home. No, he wasn't. I'm like, oh yeah. So like we had like totally different. That was a very weird night, but that was very strong mushrooms. One of the strongest mushroom trips I've ever been on. It
Oh
was like
god.
some Amsterdam ones. Like when we went back to the spot, all the furniture was like levitating, and the smoke
Nice.
detector on the ceiling was shooting around like shooting star. Every pattern in the room was wiggling. Super fun.
Yeah, I've had some pretty strong mushroom trips, but nothing like the after the first time, like doing DMT and actually like experiencing DMT in its full effect. I've like acid and mushrooms are nothing like that. Like the first time, well, the first time I actually ever like smoked it by myself and saw some shit. I was by myself. I looked out my window and then all of a sudden like everything turned into a cartoon and I was like, this is amazing. Like why is an acid like this? I'm like, holy shit. It's my favorite fucking thing ever.
Acid will
Um,
give you like a blink of that. Like you'll be like, and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
gone.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
I love my marble floors in my bathroom when I'm tripping. Like I'll just sit on the toilet. There was one I had a couple of people over. They're like, "Aaliyah, are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh shit, I forgot I had people over."
Okay, so funny you say that. I like to do drugs on Halloween, especially because why not,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so I eat some mushrooms and I go to a nightclub in Miami, which is probably not the best thing. Nightclubs are like, there's so many people,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I'm not totally comfortable in the nightclub, but it's cool, it's whatever. And I go to the bathroom and I sit down on the toilet. I actually sit because like I'm on drugs, and
Yeah.
I'm sitting and I start staring at the marble floor, right? And I'm like just there, like staring. And there's a line of girls out the fucking door to go to the bathroom. And my friend is in the bathroom. She's like, "Staring, okay?" I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." I pull up my pants and everything.
Right,
And I come
right,
out. I was like, "We need to go." And she was
right.
like, "What?" I was like, "Nah, the marble floor was way more interesting than anything happening in this building." I was like, "I want to go home and stare at my own marble floor."
Right? Be like, see what faces you could find in there and stuff like
And
that. I
just
had
like
one
watching
lady.
it move and watching all the like lines and stuff move.
Yeah.
Paisley's really fun. If you can find something with Paisley
Paisley is great. Me and my buddy, have you been to that Van Gogh immersion experience
on
yet?
acid. Actually,
Yes.
what's funny is like in Miami, we have two different ones that are both Van Gogh. And
Hmm.
so and they're like hosted by two different groups.
Okay.
And my friend and I took acid and then went to both of them. We made a whole Van Gogh day.
Nice. Oh my
Yeah.
God. We only went to one. They have a new thing in
Monet.
yeah, yeah. I want to see the Monet one, but they have here, hold on. I just texted it to him. It's called the Art Tech House, and it's very similar here. If you could kind of see the picture, but it's
Oh,
you can kind of see the
yeah.
picture there. But yeah, it's the same thing where you're like in this full immersion thing, and it's like
Yeah.
different. It's like a light show kind of. And I'm like, whoever created these things have definitely
Done
done a lot of
drugs.
acid.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no
sure.
way someone was sober
We
that
had
did
one in
this.
Miami called Super Blue. That
Okay.
was super fun. It
I
was
think
like,
this is in Miami too. I think the Art Tech House maybe in Miami. I'll find
how do you
out and
spell that? Because I want to
yeah,
make
yeah,
notes.
yeah. It's on it's called Cherry Blossom Fest, but it's Art Artech House. But I
Okay.
think yeah, I think they may have one I think they may have one in Miami. Because I was looking because we saw one. He sent me a link to one, and it was literally the day, like the day that he sent it was the last day, and it was all sold out. Because I have a little bit of acid left, and I'm like, we got to go to this right now. And then we looked, it was all sold out. But yeah, they have another one. I'm like, March 12th. That's where I'm gonna be. On
Acid's funny, right? Like sometimes,
acid's
like
wicked.
yeah, like sometimes the trip is so strong, you're like, oh my god, like what the hell? And then other times you're like, this is totally manageable.
I've always been because acid was the first drug that I ever did.
Oh wow.
Like I smoked pot, but I didn't get high right away. It took me like I was one of those people that took a while to. I had to smoke a bunch before I actually got stoned. So acid was the first drug that ever actually like I got high off of, and I was in high school, like literally in class. So I think
Wow.
I think I just learned. I also kind of have like a super controlling type like brain and personality. So I don't think I'm able to drive on it. Driving on acid is one of my favorite things to do. I think that's another reason why like I don't like doing like downers like heroin or
Yeah.
like pills. I've never been in that because I
No
like
opiates for me. Yeah.
yeah, I like to
Yeah.
have like control over my body and bodily functions and thoughts. And like if I'm in a shitty situation, be able to at least have enough,
Yeah.
brains to get
I like to
out.
be like very like cognizant of everything. Like if it can
Yeah.
enhance my cognizance, I would appreciate that too.
Yeah.
I I've driven on acid, but like a very small, like I can drive on like a half a hit of acid or less, or
Hmm.
microdosing it. But like when you take like a full hit of acid or multiple hits of acid, you're like, oh my God, I'm actually frying right now.
A little bit. Yeah. I fried my friend's brain over quarantine. He survived though. So it's fine.
Yeah, I had like the only bad acid trip that I had out of all the acid trips was so weird. It
Hmm.
was like I got thinking so hard that I was thinking too hard about talking. And like when you speak, and your brain does this like so quickly that we don't,
Mhm,
have
mhm,
any cognizance of it.
mhm.
But like when you speak, you have a thought, and then you got to put those words together into a sentence, and then it comes out of your mouth, right?
Yeah.
And whatever was happening was I was having this thought, and I was also with somebody that I wanted to communicate with. I'm having thoughts, and then I start to put the words together to say them. And by the time I get to the end of the sentence, I forgot what the original thought was. And
Yeah.
I couldn't, it was like very upsetting. It was very upsetting. It was like, right. And it didn't last the whole time, but it was like the
Mhm.
climax for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I was like,
I can't talk. Oh.
like I have these thoughts, and I'm like,
Trying to like mine them or sign them out. That's hilarious.
yeah,
I have had that happen sober, to be honest, where,
that's funny.
where I just have a brain fart and be like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? So so you were 12 years old the first time you smoked weed. How old were you when you tried like Molly? Well, how old, like, what was your first
Molly, I
experience?
was 19. I did a lot. I think like all the other drugs I didn't do until I was 19, pretty much. Like,
Like out of high school kind of thing.
yeah, like I'm trying to think if I did any other drugs while I was in high school. No, some of my friends did mushrooms in high
Hmm.
school, but I didn't even think I did mushrooms in high school. I may have done mushrooms like senior year or something. But
Hmm.
yeah, most of the drugs I didn't do until I was 19. That's when I got married. And it was like I trusted my husband so much. I was like, if you're doing it, I'm doing it. Let's do this together, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, he's like just a little bit older than me. And so he's like, yeah, he's like my guide, my drug guide at the time, you know? The first time I did acid, we went and watched Star Wars. Like I
Nice.
remember that. It was him and I, we went and watched Star Wars. The first time I did Molly, I got it from a strip club, some guy at the strip club. I took it on the way home. I get home and I'm like, babe, I want to
Babe.
touch you and stuff. Like, let's talk. Like, yeah. And he was like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. And I was like, no, don't do
No, I'm
that.
wide awake. Experience this with
Play with
me.
me. And then I realized
Right.
I was like, oh, Molly, you definitely need 2 pills. One pill's never going to be enough because you have to
Yeah.
give one to a friend so they can be on the same vibe with you.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done Molly by myself. I've definitely done acid by myself. I've done mushrooms by myself, especially over quarantine. There was nothing else to do. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck it, well, it's me and my dog.
I'll tell you, microdosing Molly is like very, very doable by yourself.
Well,
Like,
I could see that. They also have like great medical benefits if you're microdosing. Like I microdosed a bunch with shrooms and that definitely helped with depression. I never really microdosed with acid. I've decided that acid's going to be my fun drug and then mushrooms will be the one that like I'll use like if I'm sad or whatever, need to work through some shit.
yeah, yeah. I microdosed mushrooms for the first time in 2020. I took like a
Mhm.
whole month because I had all these mushrooms that my dealer had ground up and he was going to put them into chocolates. And I was like, don't bother. And so I was like, I might as well use these to microdose. I was reading about microdosing and just learning about it. And I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Because I
Mhm.
already have all this ground up mushroom. So it was like very easy for me to weigh it all out and make sure I get the exact amount every day.
Mhm.
So I microdosed for 30 days. Totally different experience than I thought it was going to be. I was hoping to like jump into that flow state that they talk about. I don't know
Yeah.
if you're aware of that, but where everything is just like easy and seamless and like you can work really well and your brain is like ton ton ton. And
Mhm.
then that did not happen. But I will say this. I was in a very pleasant, slightly giggly mood
Mhm.
the whole month. It just made everything like just easy
Like
and like ha 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 ha.
yeah, like you're not bothered by things that would normally bother you. You let a lot of things go.
Yeah,
I noticed that with mushrooms, like little things that annoyed me, or that annoy me normally when I microdose. I'm like, it's fine. And I
yeah,
learned like I've learned to let a lot of shit go
yeah.
because I like to control stuff. I can't control everything, and
Hmm.
mushrooms totally helped me learn it, like using them the right way, like the medical like way, definitely has helped out with a ton of that. I'm glad that that stuff that they're starting to legalize or decriminalize mushrooms and even Molly and stuff like that because it can help with a lot of mental health issues for
It
sure.
really can, especially things like PTSD and stuff. Like,
Mhm.
a lot of people, maybe even like your viewers, don't even know like how Molly works, but Molly like releases serotonin into your brain, like piles of it, like, which is
Mhm.
serotonin is what makes us happy. It does a lot of things. It's a neurotransmitter. So
Mm,
that's also what's responsible for you smelling and tasting too, because
mhm.
serotonin transfers the smell from your nose to your brain. I learned all this
Mhm.
because I lost my smell and taste during COVID. But serotonin is super important, and so pure MDMA just like floods your system with serotonin, which was why you get all like the good, happy feelings and
Mhm.
vibes and stuff. So if you like microdose that, just like it can be a great treatment for depression. It can be a treatment
Mhm.
for PTSD. Like I
But
think
probably
that
even better than some antidepressants, because antidepressants actually make me like, what are the SR.
SSRIs,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're
I keep thinking
selective serotonin
SR22.
reuptake inhibitors.
Yeah.
That
I
and so
can't
basically what
fuck
I
with
was saying
those.
was like Molly shoots it all out, like serotonin, 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 serotonin.
Mhm.
The SSRIs don't shoot out more serotonin. What they do is they prevent it from being like sucked up and thrown out.
Yeah. So
So
you
it's a
get the right amount, but you don't have
Yeah, so
any
it
of the
like
effects
leaves
from
it
it.
in the brain longer, basically. And
Yeah.
those things have such bad side effects.
Yeah, I wanted to go on a murder spree the last time I took them.
Oh.
I was really thinking like, and normally they make me want to off myself, but the last time I'm like, I could kill people. And I was like, okay, I should stop taking these.
Yeah, and coming off of them is like really bad for your brain and stuff. I've had friends
Yeah.
that experience like electric shock feelings inside their brain when they come off SSRIs.
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't people just take a little bit of Molly? Like, what the
Every once
hell?
in a while. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
So
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
I
no,
love
no,
drugs.
no.
Sorry, it's
I
such an exciting topic for me.
know. I've always, because a lot of times you do have to be careful with how much Molly that you do take, because like the next 3 days, especially if you take a full pill or whatever, you could be legally depressed for 3 whole days until your body like can reproduce, enough like regular serotonin or whatever. But yeah, in small increments,
Yep.
I think it would be way more beneficial than like Zoloft.
Absolutely. So if you're listening to this and you don't want to take Molly and you would like some of the benefits of the serotonin without the SSRIs,
Mhm.
um, serotonin is like my favorite thing. So like I'm very versed on it.
Mhm.
Tryptophan, which obviously comes in Turkey, and then you
Mhm.
can also buy it separately as a supplement. Tryptophan, niacin, the and 5-HTP. Those all
Yep.
are precursors to serotonin, which means that once you take them as a supplement, your body turns them into serotonin. So if you feel like you do need a little serotonin, you're feeling slightly depressed, try
Mhm.
checking out some tryptophan. Try checking out melatonin, niacin, and my favorite is 5-HTP.
I've definitely tried that niacin, because that's like a B vitamin. You have to be careful with that,
Hmm.
because if you take too much of that, like you could get like real red and hot and like
Yeah,
splotchy. Found that out the hard way.
yeah, 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 yeah. But like, the day after taking like Somali and stuff, I always make sure that follow up is like all the so that way you have like a smoother come down.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not just like a hard crash,
Hmm.
which is a lot of reasons why I don't do Molly that much. Because when I do it, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna rage, and I'm like, I'm gonna need 3 days off from doing nothing, so I can sit on my couch and be sad for literally no fucking reason.
Oh, see, yeah, I don't really get sad anymore, but my body will be physically tired. Like I do need the
Yeah.
day off the next day for
Hmm.
like pizza and Netflix,
Right.
Yeah. Because like I don't really get sad anymore. I think because I take the supplements,
Hmm.
but I do get really physically tired because like on Molly you're doing everything. You're like, I want to
Right.
fuck, 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 I want to dance, I want to walk, I want to do everything.
Then like mentally I get exhausted too,
Yeah.
because especially like well, definitely on cocaine, but like acid or mushrooms, Molly, because you have all these great ideas and thoughts, and I write a lot of them down. I'm one of those people that make plans on cocaine. I actually follow through on some of. I'm one of those idiots. Like that's how I ended up in comedy. I'm like, I'm gonna be a comedian. And then I was like, and now I'm doing, yeah. So fucking love cocaine. Now I'm thinking I may kind of want to try bath salts just for shits and giggles, just like a little bit.
Right. I'm gonna let you know though, it is like if you did want to do it, it's a very small amount that you need to do.
Yeah.
Just dip your finger in it.
And
Like,
just,
yeah.
yeah. And then like if you want a little bit more, dip your finger in
But
again.
like wait though, like wait at
Yeah.
least 4 hours. Yeah.
How long does it last?
Kind of a long time.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
if
I
it's
mean,
filled
not
with a
like
lot of
acid,
meth.
but like more than Molly. Like, I feel like Molly's average is like 6 hours or something.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's like 8 to 9, 10, something like that. Yeah.
Oh
It was
well.
like, I remember taking it at 9 p.m. and yeah, I was still going at noon.
I had that happen with some acid one time. We were at like a 3-day outdoor rave and there were green gel tabs. And it was some of the strongest acid I've ever had in my life where like I could barely see like anything. And it lasted for about like 12 hours, like maybe
Yeah.
even longer. I mean, granted, we were also awake the entire time. But yeah, I'm
I
just
feel
like,
like
oh,
most of my
okay.
acid trips last 12 hours, no?
No, I mean, maybe, I don't know. This one just seemed to last. Well, it was midday
That-
when we took it, and then we were still tripping. Oh, maybe longer. Maybe it was like 24 hours because
Yeah.
we slept for a little bit, but
You woke up still high?
yeah, and then like we
Woo!
finally went to like sleep, and then when we woke up, but yeah, I just like, oh, this is who we are now. This is where I'm just gonna be. Like it reminded me of the story that my mother told me about this kid in her high school that took some acid and then like ran off, and then they found him like naked and like with scratches all over him because he thought he was like a banana or like an orange and had to like peel. And I'm like, that shit doesn't happen, mom. Shut up. And then I realized I'm like, oh, maybe it did happen.
Right, right. I mean, possibly. I gave one of my friends acid for the first time, and that was super funny. Like giving somebody acid for the first time
Yes.
is like slightly traumatic for the first time, like because it's such a long drug. Like I can't think of
Yeah.
too many other drugs where you're like fucked up for that long, like kind of like quality fucked up, not even like a
Mhm.
little bit, but you're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
solid fucked
you're
up.
solid fucked up.
Yeah, like we're about 3-4 hours into the trip, and he's laying on the bed looking out the window, and he was like, "Ah," I was like, "What?" He goes, "This is a lot." He's like, "How much longer is this going to be?" I was like, "Oh, we're only like
Oh.
3 hours in." I was like, "This is probably a 12-hour situation," you know? He was like, God. I was like, "Don't worry, you're climaxing." I was like, "Couple hours, it'll be more mellow. It'll be
Yeah,
much
well,
more like just hang in there."
just chill out, you'll be fine. I love giving people, drugs for the first time and, like,
Me too.
being their shaman and walking them through. We're very excited to give our friend, some mushrooms for the first time. We're
Yeah.
like, "Yay!"
Yep. I feel the same way. Molly and acid, I'm always like,
Yeah, right.
I just
Because
want to sit there and watch you.
mhm. They'll probably be freaked out by that. Be like, "How are you feeling right now?"
Can you tell me everything?
Yes. I love it. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. I miss you so much. It was great to chat with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I mean, we could probably carry on this conversation another 2 hours, honestly.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
The next thing you know, we're both microdosing,
I know.
which would be fun.
And then the show lasts 12 hours.
Yeah, right. And then it'd be like, this is the longest podcast ever.
Ever.
Ever. So where can people find you online and stuff?
Well, Sara Jay Links is like my hub for all my stuff. And, right at the moment, my Instagram is disabled. So Sara Jay Links is like the best place to go. And if I
Mhm.
have to like update things, like I update it there. But that's got like all my merch, and it's got my website and, all that good stuff, including my CBD site, sarajcbd.com.
Yay! I'm excited. I'm gonna order the bath bomb. I'm gonna try that out.
Yes.
I'm
Everything
excited.
comes except for the sex lube is plain, but the massage oil and the bath bomb both come in eucalyptus and in lavender.
Oh, nice. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye.